Citrus element. I am in a state of consistent hunger. All I think about is food right now. Low calorie. Surprisingly, though, my energy has been all right. Although I do feel like this workout, I'm already feeling tired and I haven't done anything yet. So I do feel like the workouts will start to suffer a little bit. But I think I'm going to do a refeed. I'm going to do one refeed before Thanksgiving, and then I'm going to use Thanksgiving as the second refeed. And what the refeed's going to look like for me, since I'm hovering around 2,000 to 2,400 calories, I'll probably allow myself to shoot up to 3,000, 3,500 maybe on the refeed days. And then I'll go right back down. Let's do some W's, and we're just going to touch some shoulders and arms today, just real easy stuff.
The interview I did at that podcast Transform, like Girl podcast. Yeah, they sent a bunch of.
Not that I don't need any more challenges with this fucking thing, but I can feel my hamstring flare up when I walk on the treadmill for more than 30 minutes. So I've had to do elliptical when I get on there, and even there, about 30 minutes in, it kicks in. So making it really tough to keep my steps over 10,000. So we're just going to have to do a lot of the work through calories. In a perfect world, I like to kind of balance the deficit with more movement and a little more calories and eating. But it seems like that's going to be a challenge. So whatever. Why not? Everything else has been a pain in the ass.
When you notice it acting up, is it like a pain or is it just kind of like bothersome? Or?
Yeah, it's painful. Yeah. It's like on a scale of 1 to 10 pain, it's like a 3. It's more annoying, you know? It's not like I'm like, ah. It's sensitive to touch. And when my legs, so obviously your hamstrings are contracting slightly when you walk. Just the repetitive movement of walking flares it up. Which really, like when you read like the protocol that Brink sent me for the rehab, it's like I should be able to do normal daily functions like walking pain-free before I even start the rehab process. And yet I was trying to get going on the rehab right away. But we're leaning out, promise you that. This morning was the lightest I've been on the scale at 208 point something. So. I really wish we had that Viking press set up. That's what I'd like to do. Okay. I'm going to do some moderate presses. And I'm going to go right into light lateral raises. That'll be good for the laterals. I'll go up a little bit on the presses. So these are coming to an end, D.
I know.
So I'll tell you what, I was getting caught up on some of the content, and I mean, I love the way you shoot these, and it makes me want to continue doing something. Maybe we engage the audience and have people comment below on what type of content going forward they want to see. Yeah, I mean, it's really inspired me to revive this channel, right? We've left it alone for well over a year, getting it going again, and, you know, making it morph into something different, maybe something more current, like lifestyle of what we're all doing, what we're like working out wise, diet wise. Maybe it peers into each of us individually. Maybe it's not like me for, you know, 12 weeks. Maybe it's a workout with Justin, a workout with Sal, you know, following Doug around cooking one day. Like, I think that would be cool. Go get it, Cole. Go get it. That's pretty fast. I saw underneath it was the. They tell you like what the professional or what the real half work record is. Bro, it's 147, almost 10 seconds. In the world of racing, it's like a mile.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know, it makes me question where they can even shave it off.
That's, I mean, obviously we can improve, right? But how much? Like how many more seconds are you gaining taking some of those turns a little bit better? I guess. I mean, I know you lose a lot when you come off that path line and your tire goes off the road or just a little bit, and it like loses all four being on the ground, so you're not constantly gaining. So I see that in little spots, but come on, seconds, 10 seconds. That lap that I hit 154, I was just like, that was about as good as I could have done, not knowing what else I need to do, you know? You know, I know I've talked about it on the podcast. I don't know if ever, did I talk about it on here when we first started this about, the importance of building shoulders for great arms. Like, I always, well, not always, but towards the back half of my lifting career, put more energy and focus on the shoulders than I used to at all at the very beginning. It really brings so much of your upper body together, both the back and the front, right? So your shoulders separate from your bicep and tricep, so it makes your arms look better, even if you don't have massive arms. Good delts will give that illusion. Makes the chest look more pronounced up top, makes your back, your V taper look better. Like, shoulders are a big part of building like a really aesthetic physique. Difference of watching me train versus watching Justin train. I'll find every excuse I can to sit down. Justin will find every excuse to turn the exercise into a standing exercise. He's better to follow for overall function and health. It's been a while since I've felt like this in workouts. I remember this is why when Sal communicates on the podcast about people cutting and then losing strength and energy, there's a lot of truth to that with some people, but then there's something to be said about being really normal to be low calorie for an extended period of time and then having weaker workouts. I wanted to show the audience BFR training and how I was going to use it, but I'm worried about doing anything for my legs right now if walking bothers it. So just going to listen to it for a little while. Maybe I'll be able to show them afterwards. Had my hamstring recovered a little bit better, I'd be tying off my quads and doing bodyweight squats for BFR just to maintain my legs until I fully recover. All right, there we go. Rain out there, Kyle? One more, dude. One more. No rain?
Yeah, right now.
I was just say it keeps like, I mean, out of nowhere it showed like 10 days. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, that's why I didn't ride today. I thought it was gonna rain.
Super bummer. I was hoping that over this little Thanksgiving break, get some drives in. Tell you what, about the only positive thing about my legs being injured is when you're low energy like this, legs are a bitch to train. I tell you, that's the tough one is being low like this and doing like arms and shit like that. It's like not that big of a deal, but training legs when I'm fully gassed up and full is hard. Really hard when I'm low. All right, last one. Did you beat it?
Yeah, 154.1.
Oh, really? I hope you're as good of a trainer as you are a driver.
I'd say I'm a better trainer than
That's true. We're going to do really well around here. This is it. Send the boys home. Send them home. That's it, dude. It's a wrap. Yeah, as soon as this heals. I need to get the bruising and swelling down. Once the bruising and swelling goes down, I'd like to have him watch me do some more again. Right now, though, it's just rest, ice, and red light therapy, and then having Katrina work out other parts like my hips, my low back. Leaving the hamstring alone, I can't handle any pressure on it yet. But even like I said, even like when I try and go get my steps in, it aggravates it. So I just got to take it easy. I think I learned my lesson from all the other injuries. I'm not going to rush it. And after that session I did with Kyle, as good as it felt to move it and do it, I paid for it afterwards.
After my initial rehab on my hamstring and everything, I was like, oh, as long as I do squats and deadlifts, I'll be okay, and I'll work in single legs every once in a while and stuff. So I thought I was good.
Yeah.
But then I was trying some of those movements you tried the other day, and I just realized how little of connection I have back there. I can't even squeeze it that well.
Crazy, right? Yeah, those look like some silly movements, but they're a lot harder than what they look like. I mean, I had already been a trainer for 15 years when I met Brink, and he broke me down. And there was so many basic movements that I couldn't even. I was all buff and fit and trainer guy, I could do all this exercise, but I had lost so much range in a lot of my joints, especially on my hips, my ankles, and he just tore me apart. And I couldn't do the most basic stuff. I was just he'd tell me to move it. I'm I can't move that. He's yes, you can. I'm I can't.
Yeah, it's just crazy because explosivity and everything, I can do anything and feel virtually fine.
Yeah.
And then in terms of actually signaling to the hamstring and getting to retract and stuff, it's just so tough. Side to side movements, everything feels good, but then just.
It's just I was talking about on here the other day, right? It's you don't even realize that because you're back to doing your stuff, so you think it's no big deal, but there's compensation happening, And it doesn't manifest itself until years later. You're in your late 30s, early 40s, and you just have low back pain or hip pain on one side, and you're that doesn't make sense. Why? And very few people connect it to the surgery they had 15, 20 years before. But it's just over all those years, never getting reconnected to that side, and there was an imbalance. And then all these little movements you've been doing for years, your body will compensate to make up for the lack of connection. and functionality you have on one side, and then it'll manifest in like this chronic pain somewhere else, you know? And people don't make the connection because it's not going to manifest in the hamstring. It'll be in your hip or your low back or your shoulder that's bothered because that's not firing properly, because the hamstring is partly responsible for hip stability. And so if you're that weak and connected there, that means there's a little bit of instability and weakness on that one side. So then you're fighting, doing all your things like that. And every time that you call upon it, you've gotten good at compensating and the other side helping out, and you just go about your day. You don't realize it. But that constant, consistent, repetitive overcompensation for so many years ends up being all of a sudden like low back pain out of nowhere. Like, what the fuck? Why is my low back bothering me all the time? You know?
Even yesterday during Muay Thai, we were only practicing kicks, like nothing with our hands. And all of a sudden my shoulder starts bugging me. I'm like, I feel like I just do a bunch of punches. Why? But now, like, now that you say that, it's like it's probably just because it was obviously hamstring that I originally hurt, so it's probably something.
Totally. Like that's a perfect example. Like if you're throwing a kick and maybe because your hips dip a certain way, so this twists, and that little bit of twist in the scapula that isn't normal to get you to compensate to throw the kick, you're able to. Now I don't know if that's what it is, but like that's an example of how that instability in the hip on that side, because the hamstring's weak and you're not connected very well there, ends up manifesting all the way up there, and then people don't make the connection that it had anything to do with that injury. And so then they go to a regular doctor and they're like, oh my God, let's shoot it with cortisone. Let's just shoot some cortisone in it, numb it up and stuff like that. And then you get temporary relief. You're like, oh, cool. Yeah, I feel so much better. And then comes back again, shoot it again. Versus like, okay, what is going on with my movement that's causing this weird, when I'm not even using my shoulder throwing punches, what's happening? Oh, well, it's because you're contorting your body in order to throw that kick, and where it's expressing itself imbalanced is up all the way up the chain and on the underneath the shoulder or something, right? So it's great to have. I miss having Brink nearby, because like anytime I'd be like running into a problem myself, I'm like, I can't get to the bottom of this. What is it? I'd have him come break me down, and then he'd always be able to get to the bottom of what it was. All right. Another one down, brother. Oh.